Well, good evening. I hope you have had a great week. I know we've already had a chance to speak about that in our breakout room, so I hope you've had some fun already this evening. It's just nice to see some familiar faces to you. Tonight we are going to be talking about the next letter in our book that is the title is Bless. And last week we talked about the B, which was begin with prayer. And I know we're going to be talking about how that went a little bit later on, as well as looking to what Dave is going to bring to us tonight. So I am going to hand over to Dave, and he is going to be talking about the next letter, which is L tonight. So thank you, Dave.
Hello, I'm back, and today I want to share with you the second of the 5 things in the Bless, B-L-E-S-S, and last week we thought about beginning with prayer. Today we come to the L, which is to be someone who listens. L is listen. And it may seem like this is a strange thing to suggest when we're talking about sharing our faith, when we're talking about blessing people, when we're talking about helping people to understand maybe what we've experienced of God. Listening, is that really going to do the trick? Is that really going to help? Well, like before, I want to talk a little bit about what Jesus did. I want to share with you some stuff that I've done, and I want to encourage you with some things that you can do. Or today, part of it is about things that you can not do. So, why is listening so important? Well, here's something about what Jesus did. Jesus loved to listen to people. Jesus loved asking questions so that he could get people talking to him, instead of just coming in with all of his own answers. And the thing you've got to remember is that Jesus knows everything. It's not that he's there going, oh, I wonder about this, I'm really curious about that, I need to know this and I don't currently know it. He knows everything. So why does he, of all people, ask questions? He asks questions because he wants to listen to people. He wants to help them to know that he cares about them, that he's interested in them. There's a story about a time when Jesus is travelling along the road and there's someone who is begging. He is blind. Someone who's a blind beggar by the side of the road, and he's calling out. And his disciples, Jesus' disciples, think, well, Jesus just needs to sort of move on and leave this guy. He's bothering Jesus and we should ignore him. Jesus, though, instead stops, turns around and goes over to him. Now, how do you think the story finishes? What do you think happens next in the story? Well, it seems fairly obvious. There's a blind person. Jesus, who's a miracle worker and cares about this person, goes over. Surely, Jesus would just fix his sight, would give him sight back, would stop him from being blind. Well, Jesus does do that, but it's not the first thing he does. The first thing he does is he asks him a question. He turns to him and he says, "What do you want me to do for you?" Jesus doesn't just want to heal this man, although he does, because what the man says is, make me well, make me able to see, and so Jesus does it. But first, Jesus wants to show this man, I care about you. I'm not going to come in assuming that I know everything about you, that I've got all the answers, and just do what I think you need. I'm going to ask you, what is it you want me to do for you? That's the way that Jesus treats this man, and it changes his life. That's what Jesus did. Now, what about me? What is it that I try to do with the people that I know, with my friends? Well, it's basically the same sort of thing. I try to listen. Now, I'm not Jesus. I don't know everything. Some of you know me better than others, but sometimes I can think of myself as a bit of a know-it-all. Someone who knows everything, someone who's got all the best answers, all the best ideas, and I love the sound of my own voice, and sometimes that is true. I'm probably not as much like that as some people think I am, but I am a little bit like that. I do love to talk. I do love to give answers. I do love having good ideas and sharing them with other people. Over the years, I've had to learn that my ideas aren't always what other people need to hear. I've had to learn a bit of humility, a dose of humble pie, and to realise that actually I'm not the answer to everyone's problems. I know, I know it can be hard to believe, but what I've had to do is to stop speaking so much and start listening more. Asking questions of people to find out about them, to find out about what's important to them, instead of assuming that all the things that I'm already thinking about and interested in must definitely be of interest and of use to them. Why does this make a difference? Why does this help us as we're seeking to share Jesus with people? Well, think about it like this. If I go up to one of my friends and I just start talking at them, telling them everything that I think they need to know, then what I'm saying is, I don't care what's going on with you. I don't care what you're thinking, what you're going through, what you're experiencing. I've decided this is what you need, and therefore that's what matters. We're saying to them, you don't matter enough to have your perspective heard, to have your ideas heard, to have what matters to you become part of the conversation. I'm what's important. I matter and my ideas matter, and therefore I'm just going to ram them down your throat. When we start with listening, what we're actually saying to someone is, you're valuable, you're worthwhile, you matter, what you have to say matters. I want to listen to you because you are important to me. And if we want people to know that they're important to God, and if we're people who follow God, then we need to show that there's someone who matters to us. Because if someone's looking at me and going, well, Dave's not interested in me, and Dave represents God because he follows him, then they're going to also think, well, God's not interested in me. But if you flip it on the other way round, if people go, well, Dave seems really interested in my life. He listens to me. He asks questions. He doesn't just spout all of what he wants to say. If that's what we're doing, then people will go, well, maybe this God that he follows also cares about me. Maybe I can give him a chance. This isn't the only thing that we can do. Remember, BLESS, it's 5 things. This is the second. We begin with prayer. We're praying for these people. Hope you've been doing that during this week, getting that list of names, whether it's 8 or whether it's 5 or however many it is, and praying for them each day. Then the next thing that we can do is make sure that when we're interacting with them, when we're talking with them, whether that's in person or on FaceTime or on a walk or on Zoom or whatever it is on the phone, whether we're texting someone, we are listening more than we're speaking. So, what does that mean? What can you do about this? Well, here's the thing that I want to suggest you do today. Ask people questions. If you know you're going to be having a conversation with someone, think about questions you can ask them. Sometimes in a conversation, I can't think of good questions to ask people. But if I've thought about it beforehand, if I've thought about what's going on for them, what kind of things can I ask? Ask questions that you want to know the answers to, but ask questions that show that you're interested in getting to know someone more, in finding out more about them. That is something that Jesus did all the time. It's something that I'm trying to get better at, and it's something that I think you can do as well. So this week, maybe you could set yourself a challenge of a number of good questions you're going to ask people. And I literally mean, spend some time writing some good questions down. Some questions that will help you to get to know someone better, that will say to someone, I care about you and I'm interested in you. I think this might be going on for you, or this might be something that's important to you, so I'm going to ask you questions about it. Ask someone about their hobbies. Ask someone to explain them to you. Even if it's something that you don't do, that you're not interested in yet, ask them about it. If we want them to be interested in us, we've got to start by being interested in them. So, spend some time asking people questions this week. BLESS. That was L. Next week we'll be back with E, and I'll be honest with you, E is one of my favourite ones. But for now, I'll say goodbye and thanks again.
Well, thank you to Dave. I hope that was helpful. I hope you've got your thinking caps on of people that you can talk to. They don't have to be on that list. They can be on the list or that we made last week, or they could just be completely new people. Maybe it's your parents. Maybe it's people that you haven't spoken to in ages, or as you go back to school this week, for many of you, it's a great opportunity to ask questions of your friends that you haven't seen in a while. So if you are someone who does maybe find it a little bit harder, maybe write some of those questions that you might want to ask some people down. Maybe if you're like me and you just love finding out about people and you can think of things on the spot, maybe you want to do it that way as well. But we are going to spend some time in our small groups shortly. But before we go and join back onto Zoom, I am just going to pray for us that we together right now. Jesus, I thank you that you have taught us in the Bible. Dave shared an example of you listening to someone. Jesus, I just thank you that you have shown us how to listen. And I pray that we would be good listeners. There are so many things that if we listen well, we can have an impact with our friends and family and neighbours and people that we care about. So we want to be people who listen well, and I pray, Jesus, that you would help us to do that. Amen. Well, we're going to join on Zoom again, and we're going to join back to our breakout rooms for some time of questions, so I will see you in a moment.